Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
5 years ago, the Power of We Symposium was created to provide a platform for kids from all sectors where they could have a safe and comfortable environment in which to share both their joys and concerns. The Power of We Symposium is proud to have served over 250 kids throughout Romania when we took our mission global back in May of 2023. Now, 2 teams of amazing volunteers from both the U.S. and Romania embarked on an 8-day Legacy of Hope tour, bringing encouragement and hope to not only the kids of Romania, but also the adults who support them, and also to over 100 kids here in the U.S. who contributed handwritten letters of hope to our Romania mission of 2023. Now, this year, we are proud to provide this opportunity yet again in October, and we are super excited to up our game. New venue, 750 kids this time, and we want to see you there. We're looking forward to meeting you in person at this year's event, which promises, as always, incredible speakers, amazing content, and of course, some of the greatest kids on the planet. So, mark your calendars for October 24th, and we'll see you here in Chicagoland for the Power of We Symposium 2024. This year's theme is Always Together, Never Alone. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite or at powerofwesymposium.com.
But you walk right past me, pretend
morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Ooh, was I channeling just a little bit of Barry White? I wish. No, I'm here today because it is Friday, because I love, love, love spending my mornings with you. So welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm Dr. Lauren, and we've done it. We've worked our way from another Monday all the way down to today, Friday. T to the G to the I to the F. Can I get an amen? That's right. I'll kick them off. So glad you're here. It's been a great week so far. Wouldn't you agree? And today is going to make it even greater. Great guest backstage waiting to come out today. Something we've never talked about here on the show. And after 8 years, 50 weeks a year, 5 days a week, you would have thought we would have covered just about everything. Nope. Thanks to KARL PONTAU. I don't think I'm saying his last name as brilliantly and beautifully as it rolls off his own tongue, but we're going to find out. Yeah, I think it's a French name, Pontau. How do you think it sounds? Practice it before he gets in here. So, do I have some announcements? Not too many, unless this one. Oh, going to be in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, emceeing the Guinness Book of World Records gathering, the Grand Butterfly Gathering from all over the world. I think 5 countries are involved, and it is to pray for world peace. It's a full day of that, and everybody's dressing up like butterflies. They even have costumes for us. And going to be staying there an entire week over the 4th of July, which is my birthday, and I get to ride in Jackson Hole's 4th of July parade. First time ever, right? I'm practicing. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. If you want information on how you can join us there, Stephen Marley is going to be performing at the resort there, and excited about that. We have a VIP thing going with him. He, of course, is the cousin of my good friend and show co-host. We do Bathrobe Moments After Dark, Charles Maddox, celebrity chef. So how's that for a great week in Jackson Hole, Wyoming? Also, what else is coming up? Oh, I can't tell you about that till Monday. So show up next week. I got some surprises for you in store. But let's talk about today's guest, shall we? Karl with a K, I should say. He's an animation director and a senior motion designer. Leaders call Karl when they need someone who takes ownership of a project, he says, and leads a creative team to transform an idea into exceptional content. A lot of you are content creators, so listen up. Here's another thing. If you need someone who can clearly explain abstract or complex ideas, first of all, don't call me, call Karl, and tell difficult stories that will inspire people to act, you need to talk to Karl. His growth mindset, his entrepreneurial spirit, and his empathetic leadership style make him a valuable addition to any team, including yours. So we're going to get Karl in here. Before I do, reminder, what you just heard, that's the bell of purpose. I ring it on purpose. Why? Because just like that bell, the truth has a ring to it. I know you're busy. I know you got 1,001 things going, but don't get so busy you miss something that could change your life. Can I get an amen? One more. Let's put it on the screen. There it is. Ooh. And welcome to the show. My sidekick, been here all 8 years, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. Yes. Oh, I see Karl is a cat person. He brought someone with him. He's coming down the hallway as we speak. Put some hearts on the screen. It's our way of saying welcome. It's a virtual standing ovation. Here he comes. Karl P. Until I can figure out how to really say his last name. Karl, good morning to you. And
this is Cosmo.
Cosmo is a boy.
Show.
Say what?
He decided to crash the show.
Oh, good. Lucy should be around anytime. She loves to do that too. My cat, one of my two. She sits back here on the. How you doing today? Top of the morning.
Well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Where are you in the world exactly?
I'm about 40 miles east of San Francisco, California, in a city called Livermore, in the San Francisco Bay Area.
That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country there. Been there all your life, or how?
Yeah, I grew up in the area. It's really nice. You're a couple hours from like a Tahoe or Yosemite. You're an hour or two from the beach, and it's a great location.
Lucky you. So before we officially get started and get into all this goodness here today, I like to dip out for just about 60 seconds and let the guest create their own vibe, if you will, with the audience. And then I'll pop back in and we'll get started from the beginning all the way from the rooter to the tutor. So I'm going to leave you here for 60 seconds. Take it away. I'll be back. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Pour into them, Karl. It's all you. Be right back.
Hello, so my name is KARL PONTAU. I'm a motion designer and art director, and my strength, my real passion and superpower is telling difficult stories. There is a lack of empathy and connection in the world, and so I bring that skill set, that care about other people to the projects I work on, and use storytelling as a way to impart wisdom and inspire people to act and to connect with those around them. I think storytelling is one of the most powerful tools for influencing other people. Our brains are wired to tell stories. And so if you're trying to get an audience to care about a cause or buy a product or take any sort of action, the best way to do that is by telling a story. And so I love working with organizations that are trying to have a positive impact on the world and help them amplify that impact by connecting with the people that they're trying to influence using storytelling.
Wow. Makes perfect sense when you say it and we hear it like that, Karl. However, let's start here.
Sure.
Because I'm in this business of storytelling and I work with a lot of people who are as well. So my first question is, because it sounds like it's hard what you do, like it would be very difficult to get people to understand why they need you. Because, you know, it's just like a person like on, say, American Idol, when they don't do it much anymore, but they used to show those clips of auditioners who couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, but you couldn't tell them that. They'd be pissed off afterwards. I don't know what they heard, but I know I can sing. And no, they could not. So what about this? What came first, the chicken or the egg kind of question? Is it in your, what you just said, you talked about you help people tell difficult stories, but do you ever run into this one where it's not that the story is so difficult, it's just that the person on the other end is a poor storyteller?
Yes, I mean, I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, not necessarily that they're telling the story poorly, is that they think they can use more data rather than storytelling to communicate stuff. They think the numbers and a lot of like information is going to persuade people, and so it's something that especially with like how much data and AI and all the kind of what's going on in the business world with technology, people get really hyped up about these tools and all the information that's out there, and they forget that what their audience is using to make decisions, the brain hasn't really changed that much in the last 100,000 years. So they go about the entire storytelling process the wrong way. They think, oh, here's what I want to say. Here's all the information and the facts and figures I want to communicate that I find really interesting. And they don't think about what their audience understands or cares about. And so it's not that they're a bad storyteller, but they go about the process the wrong way. And so they have the story in them. And part of my job is to ask the right questions, help them realize, oh, here's how I should be telling the story differently. That's going to actually resonate with my audience.
Okay. So how did you personally get started in this? I mean, were you just sitting there going, what am I going to do with my life? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to help people tell difficult stories through media. So how did you get here? And what makes a person great at what you do?
Yes, I mean, I was an artist growing up my entire life. I did like drawing, painting, sculpting, big Lego kid. And I got my passion for storytelling from my dad. He's a really good storyteller. And I knew I wanted to study animation when I saw the first Toy Story film. I was like, ooh, I got to do that. That's so cool. And then beginning of 2002, I started to feel like something wasn't quite right with me physically. I'd been a competitive swimmer growing up, so I knew what I was supposed to feel like. And it wasn't like, oh, my shoulder kind of hurts. It's like a general blah feeling. But by August, they still hadn't figured out what was wrong with me, and I had lost 50 pounds, had sunken cheeks and eyes. I was really pale, started to get really bad headaches.
Mm.
So my parents took me for an MRI up in Walnut Creek, and we were waiting around for another appointment when my pediatrician called and said he's going to drive up from Pleasanton to come talk with us. We saw him walking up with this big envelope in his hands. You could tell he'd been crying, and he brought us into a little side meeting room. And I remember I was sitting knee to knee with him in this big U-shaped chair with really high armrests, kind of leaning forward towards him.
Mm-hmm.
When he pulled out the results of the MRI and said, "Karl, you have 2 brain tumors." And it felt like I got punched in the chest. I actually moved backwards in my chair, and for the next 2 weeks, everything sounded like the adults from Peanuts, kind of wah, 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 because
Yeah.
I'd never had the flu, never broken any major bones, never been stung by a bee. I'm pretty sure I've never been bitten by a mosquito. So to get brain tumor diagnosis
Did you
at
live in a
15 years
bubble?
old, yeah. So to get brain tumor diagnosis at 15 years old was a complete sucker punch out of nowhere. But I got so much help from friends and family, and my high school adjusted my schedule, got me a tutor so I could still graduate on time, and people I barely knew were giving food and gifts and other support. So it really inspired me to want to give back and help as many people as I could, because I'd probably be dead if it wasn't for all the help that I got.
Aw.
And then in undergraduate school, as I was studying animation, there was a big student digital art and design competition I participated in, with this big screening at the end of like 1,000 people in this big auditorium. I knew maybe 10 people in the room, but when everyone laughed at the joke in my animation, I was like, oh my gosh, I can have this bigger impact with animation and storytelling. And just I love seeing how that has can inspire people to have an emotional connection with someone they never met. And so I realized that I could have I could give back using storytelling and animation and help more people with those tools, because I got a lot of like wisdom and perspective from dealing with the brain tumors. I'm healthy now. I got very lucky with the prognosis. And so I realized that without having to go through the same terrible experiences I did to get the sort of wisdom I got, or any sort of terrible experience, storytelling is the best way to impart that wisdom, to get people to realize these important messages without having to go through the awful experiences that I went through or other people go through that have these sort of messages to share.
Yeah.
And it's all just it comes down to how the brain works and how we're able to empathize with people. And so I think there's just this lack of empathy in the world, and storytelling is a great way to get people to uh, understand how much more in common we have with each other, and how we can do so much more when we work together and aren't divided by these kind of petty differences that have gotten so much attention lately.
Yeah. Now, before I want to address what you just said, but before then, I want to ask you something. How's your health today, Karl?
Yeah, I'm healthy now. Yeah, so my pediatrician, after he showed us the MRI results, said, don't go to your other appointment in Walnut Creek, drive up to Sacramento. The following morning, I had a 7-hour brain tumor biopsy surgery and was in the ICU for 2 weeks. And towards the end of the stay, a doctor came in with the biopsy results, and he said, "You got the good type of cancer." And I was like, "What?" But now and I realized in the grand scheme of things, it could have been a lot worse. If you had to pick a brain tumor to get, you'd probably pick mine, because it was very treatable. It's not coming back. There's only like 10% chance of it coming back in the first 5 years. It's been over 20.
Yeah.
So I've had to adapt to a new normal.
Yeah.
But because of some permanent effects from it. But in a lot of ways, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because it gave me the drive and perspective and resilience to do what I'm doing now. And it really helped me understand how, like I said, how much can be accomplished when people come together, because I just got all this support, and my family got so much support, and it really made the entire experience into almost like a net positive, because of how I still have really a lot of great relationships with the friends from high school, and my family's really close. And so it just, when you have that sort of support, it makes things that could seem unsurmountable at the time accomplishable.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Good morning. Yes, God is good. So good. Vicki Williams, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. She also says that she has actually lived near Walnut Creek, California. Now, Vicki, I'm glad you're here, because I'm going to use you as an example for Karl, if that's okay. Vicki's a dear friend of our families, and known her for years, and she's a brilliant woman, a great entrepreneur. Now she is retired from having her spa business, right? And moved to Atlanta. And now she has created this gadget for your bathrooms. That's all I'm going to say. And has a patent pending. And so let's use her, if we could, as a real life example. Now, Vicky has this patent pending. Now, the next step is to get it out in this. And let's say she's got it. She needs venture capital to help her produce, okay, get some money behind her. Is this the kind of thing that, you know, what you do might help? And if not there, what about when it's time to get it on the shelves in stores? Could you use something like what you do to help convey, to get them to understand why people are going to come running to pick this up off your shelves? You want to get some. Talk about that if you could, Karl.
Sure. So yeah, when it comes to pitching a business for investors, depending on the stage you're at, it is all about the right story. Oh, it's all about the right story, but what your story is about will change. Early on in the business, it's more about they're more investing in you than in the company itself, because the company doesn't really exist. But if you already have a product and you've already have some existing customers or clients, then it really is about presenting the information and the narrative that is going to resonate with the investors and what they care about, which is how quickly can this grow? What sort of return are they going to see? How are you going to bring this to market? What sort of traction do you already have? How profitable is your business already? There's a whole bunch of factors that they're looking for. And one of the mistakes I see a lot of startup founders make, or business owners make, when they're pitching to investors, they focus way too much on the stuff like the product or the technology or the science, and they think that's really cool, but the investor is not interested in that at that point. They want to know, is this business going to get me what I want, which is a good ROI? And so talking more about that side of things is important when you already have a little bit of like traction going early on. If you are like a startup with just an idea and don't really have the clients yet, it's more about you and your team. What are your stories? Why are you the people that will bring this to market and make it successful? Because so it really depends on the stage you're at. But yes, storytelling is absolutely essential if you're going to start a business or get a product onto the market and on the shelves.
Yes. So Vicky has gone ahead and put it out there. So I guess that's her way of saying, yes, you can talk about it. So the drippy tube. So here's what it is, Karl. And I want you to drop this inside that magnificent brain of yours and see what, crank up the engines. And if Vicky were a potential client, just use it. Okay. So here it is. The drippy do is the thing. If any of you have ever had that toilet brush in your bathroom, and we have one that I hate to use. It's in our guest bathroom. We don't have them in the other bathrooms. We have those Clorox ones. And that's a mess sometimes too, because it's going to drip as you take the blue stuff out and go to the trash can if you didn't bring it with you, all of that. So she's come up with a toilet brush drying system, right? And has it's patent pending, boom, 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 attorneys, everything's great. So that's the thing. So now that's the story. So what we're going to do right now, you guys, and I apologize for this archaic way that I'm trying to show this to you, but Karl has sent me some videos, and my team, I think they were trying to get out of here for the weekend, but I have done my best to be able to show you a little of what some of his work looks like, and then he can explain it, and then we'll use Vicky and come back in on that. So, okay, let me see. Do I have this right? Okay, so I need this. Okay, I know what I got to do here. So let me bring this up here, and then I need. I am horrible. You guys already know. Oh shoot. Okay, yeah, there we go. So here we go. Take a look. Okay, I get it. I get it now. Now, how do I get out of here? Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So, Carl, that was a montage,
Yeah, it's a reel.
a reel of a lot of your different clients.
Mhm.
So, okay, I get it. I get it. Let's go back to the drippy do. So, because Vicky, I think you ought to call Carl, to be honest with you, because it's one thing when people are processing words, because image is how I drive my stories, but I have to be very concise. For instance, if I can I give an example, Carl?
Go for it.
So they get it. You guys, seriously. Here's why. It was my biggest payday ever for a keynote speech. And it was an international audience. And my come to Jesus moment, my altar call, my call to action, if you will, where it all came together, was based around lunchtime, a vision or an analogy of lunchtime. And it just didn't feel right. And then it dawned on me, not everybody has lunch. There are people in the United States that have supper. Supper and dinner. They don't have lunch. They have supper. And there are people in the world during lunchtime, they're on a prayer rug or something. So I was like, what do I have to do? So I had to change it from lunchtime to wherever you find yourself taking your midday meal. Now they see what applies to them. So that's my point. Let's talk about that. How important is it that the right images are used to give the most concise image to whoever you're trying to tell the story to? Because, just because you see this as that doesn't mean everyone who hears it is going to see the same thing. And I think that's why you're so important. Could you address that for us?
Yeah, so the first step in telling a good story is to have an understanding of what the result is you're trying to get from telling that story. And then the step back from that is, who is the audience that you're communicating with, and not what do you want to say to them, but what is it they need to hear in order to have the response that gets you the result you want. So it really comes down to understanding your audience. So for you, like you said, if you're talking about lunch and people don't have lunch, it's going to go right past them because it doesn't connect with them.
Right.
So if you're giving that presentation to a group in an area where they do use the term lunch and they're aware of that, then that's fine. But if you're communicating to a group, like you said, is dinner or supper, or it has a different habit during the middle of the day, you want to adapt the messaging to meet them where they are, meet them at wherever they are kind of emotionally and what their mindset is on the topic. And then once you know them well and understand how they're thinking and feeling and what their usually what their pain points, their problems are, then you can figure out what you need to be communicating, what the story should be about, what you need to emphasize in order to resonate with them on that emotional level and get them to not only want to listen, but then keep their attention, which is harder and harder these days, and then be inspired to follow your call to action, which gets you the result you want.
Yeah, I can definitely see, and again, sorry to pick on you, Vicky, but I can definitely see what a difference a day with Carl would make, as far as if you are in a boardroom trying to pitch this idea to get some money behind it, and you're using pie charts and graphics, just static images, how different it would be, because it's disjointed. The story is disjointed. It's not flowing. It's not moving. And I know this because that's the biggest challenge I have with my coaching clients that were trainers in corporate America, as far as them being able to transition into presenting a keynote speech where they're used to data-driven PowerPoints. Very difficult to get them out of that mindset. And so I get it. So let me ask you this. What we saw in your sizzle, are the majority of those companies represented there, prior clients or current clients, big businesses, what I'm getting at, is this something that the small business, the entrepreneur, the solopreneur can take advantage of as far as the cost? How does that work, Carl?
It's a great question. Some of them were bigger companies or went on to become bigger companies, and some of them were nonprofits, and some of them were kind of medium-sized businesses. there's these days it's not about just investing in a single animation anymore, because there's so many different channels and platforms that your audience is on that you need to create content for. So what I do when I'm working with clients is create what's called a content system, where we build an asset library that can be used on stuff for social media, used for stuff on websites that go, animations that go on websites, stuff that can be used in presentations. And so you're able to get a whole campaign worth of content that can last, and that can be updated and iterated as you get feedback from your, like the ads you're running on social media, that, or if you get feedback from your clients and stuff like that, you can keep tweaking things. And so it's the investment level can vary depending on how many channels you're on, and what you're trying, who your audience is, and the visual style, number of characters. There's a lot of factors in there, so it's hard to give a concise like quote range on this sort of without this sort of context. But it can, depending on the content you're trying to put out, it can be scaled pretty well. But if you're a solopreneur with like $500 to spend, it's probably not, you can't. It's not going to be within the budget. But as long as you're willing to invest at least a few thousand, that's worth talking about.
Yeah, and I'm just saying for all of you listening, going, what? A few thousand? Trust me. Why this is important that KARL put this out on the front end, just to be real with you, let's just keep it real, is so vital. From personal experience, not once, not twice, but 3 times, 3 different people I worked with over the years on Facebook ads. It took $5,000 just for the testing. Just for the testing, for the images, for the messaging, da-da-da-da-da. I'm just saying, didn't work for me anyway. And it was just so long and drawn out. So I definitely can see the value in sitting with you. Let's talk about that. So when a person comes to you, KARL, with, let's use Vicky again, the drippy do, and lays it out, of course, you're going to find out, okay, where are you currently? Mm-hmm. Where is it you'd like to be? So how important is a clear and concise idea of the business or the product's timeline? Does the person have to have that already in place when they come to you, or can you assist them in that?
It's a great question. I mean, the first step in my process is always just a conversation. There's no charge for that. We just, and basically it's asking a lot of questions about your situation, or your goals, what the pain points are. If we're even, it even makes sense for us to work together. And for most people I talk to, they're not ready, or they're close, but there's still some things they need to get figured out on their end. And so I'm very selective about who I work with. I don't want to waste anyone's time or money with things they're not ready for. And so I have a great network of people that I can easily refer people to for the things they do need, the prerequisites. But it's figuring out what their real challenges are, and also then diagnosing the cause of those challenges. Because so many times people think, oh, I want to get this result, I must need, like you said, Facebook ads, or I need to go and like invest in this or do this sort of thing first. But it's like a doctor wouldn't just take your word on what your diagnosis is because you look them up on WebMD. The doctor's going to do their own testing to make sure they understand what's really causing your problems. And so after that initial conversation, we will do a short little like paid diagnostic session. We'll do a deep dive into your current situation and understand what the real cause of your problem is. And if at that point we could help you, then we can talk about next steps. But it's all about making sure, again, that it's the right fit before going forward. And so a lot of people think they know what the real underlying cause of their issue is. But we want to make sure that I do like an outside independent diagnostic of the real situation before they go forward with working with me, because I'll make sure it's actually going to be something that gets them the results they want and isn't just wasting money.
Perfect. Great response, KARL. Thank you for that. You cleared that up for us. What about this piece? Everyone has heard this, and if you haven't, I don't know where you've been, but we say once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you hear it, you cannot unhear it, which could work either way, pro or con, for or against. So let me ask you this. What do you feel is the benefit, or what makes animation so different than, say, a brand piece, a commercial, a promo using images and stock footage? You know what I'm saying? Why do you feel animation is so important to the equation of telling a great story, as opposed to what I just said?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I love about animation is that you can create, especially with the technology these days, pretty much anything you can envision as long as you have the time and the budget to create it, so that you're not limited by like what the weather's like, or like getting the acting, like the permits to film on a certain location, or physics. You can make it look however you want, and so it's a great way for explaining those complex and abstract ideas that don't really have a real world analog. So, example, if you're trying to talk about something like data, you can't point a camera at data, but you can represent it with imagery that helps it stick in people's minds. And it's a way to the visuals are when our brains prioritize input from our eyes. So the more you can visualize some of these more abstract or complex ideas, the more likely it is to actually stick in people's heads and have them comprehend and remember what you told them. And also, that's where the storytelling comes in, because I think it's like 5% of people can remember a statistic if they hear it, but it's when it's told in a story, it jumps up to like in the 60%, something like that. I just saw this recently, but it's so because our brains are wired for storytelling, and so where people are remembering information, or they're kind of putting things in context, it's put in a narrative format. First it was this, and I saw this, and afterwards I went to this thing, and that was like the story of their day. And so if you can get your information to be formatted in the way the brain naturally stores information and recalls things, then the memory and the comprehension will go up. And so animation allows you the freedom and flexibility to tell the story any way you want to. Whereas if you're just trying to use stock footage and images, you have limitations on what's available, and it's not necessarily on brand for your company, or it's not necessarily going to appeal to your target audience as much. But with animation, you have complete control over all those things. So you can not only tell the story you want to tell, but it can look and feel the way you want it to. And so it's a lot more focused and customizable for your situation and your audience.
I agree. Because, for instance, sorry, Vicky, but I got to use you again. For instance, seriously, I was just thinking, I was like, hey, well, if the Drippy Doo, if I was watching a commercial where they were using real images, like, oh, look, have you ever dealt with this? And you see that ugly brown boo-boo water at the bottom of the thing, which is why she's invented this, I'd probably get grossed out. But if it were animated, it's a lot easier to look at. It's a lot easier to say, oh, yeah, ew, how right she is, that kind of thing. Sometimes there's difficult images, that is just, so I see you wanting to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like this is where it comes in, like the difficult stories where there's a lot of topics that are emotionally triggering, whether it's just discussed because of something in real life that's unpleasant, or it's just a stressful or
touchy subject,
trauma-inducing situation that people might get turned off from, or want to avoid the subject. Animation is a way to create imagery that helps keep people engaged and focused on the topic without getting upset and shutting down because they feel overloaded by the emotional connection with the topic. So you can use, like I did a bunch of animations for explaining clinical trials as one of the things in the reel there. And so it's people that are dealing with infants with respiratory issues, like newborns, they're probably stressing out because their kid's not able to breathe well. They have a lot on their mind. You need them to be able to focus on all these details about a clinical trial, which is a lot of data and the medicine and stuff, and make these decisions. And so to get them to the audience to calm down and to focus on the information and not feel too overwhelmed, animation is a great tool for that sort of thing. Or I'm working right now with a nonprofit in the Bay Area on a campaign to reduce fentanyl overdoses in teenagers.
Wow.
Very emotionally triggering and stressful topic, but animation is a way to honor the people's stories and communicate the message and help people save people's lives, raise awareness without them being scared or overloaded by the messaging. So it's those sorts of things that animation can do really well and help people lean into the conversation without and not be turned away from it because it's just too overwhelming.
Too graphic and this and the other. Absolutely. Now, how does it make you feel when people refer to the work you do? Here it comes. Because we hear you, animation. But what about when somebody goes, well, why would I need a cartoon?
That's again another great question. So cartoons is a subset of animation, and it basically refers to a certain visual style or aesthetic, and it does have a association with kids because of like the just the visuals and how it's been used in media.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean the original like Warner Brothers Max like the early like animation stuff like the Warner Brothers days, those were all aimed at adults, and it wasn't until the 80s or like 70s and 80s that it started becoming more towards a kids thing. So it's I think more about just understanding that it's a tool for communicating it and telling a story, and depending on the visual style, there's a lot of, you can aim it toward whatever audience you want. There's plenty of quote unquote cartoons that are not kid friendly, and so it's not necessarily about the visuals that people probably think of when they hear animation. They think, oh, like Disney or Warner Brothers or like a Pixar thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about educating people's misperceptions on what animation can do, and they've seen animation all over the place these days. If you pick up a phone, go to a website, or watching TV or watching a show like this, all the stuff in the intro there, all the clips and stuff had like animated elements to them, and the logos are animated, so that they see it everywhere. They just don't realize that falls under the umbrella of animation.
Behind me, on my screens behind me, those are just, that's just frequency music playing. And even though I have it muted, I believe it's coming through. So I have it around me, and that's like 3-4 hours worth playing on each one. And I don't watch regular TV on there. I just, but those are animations that are moved. Yes. So let's switch over to this question. I have a couple more really good ones, but I want to go here before because I want to switch a little bit. But first, with this animation that you do, does it fit? Where do people put it? Is it on television commercials, network TV? Is it within their presentations? Is it in their social media, on their websites? All of the above?
Yes, that's yes, you can use it in all those places. And that's why when I'm working with people, we're focusing on not just creating one piece of content, but creating what's called a content system, which is to build an asset library of still and animated clips and like still images and stuff that can be repurposed and reused and reformatted to fit various media platforms. It could be on a website, could go on social, it could be vertical or horizontal. I've done an animation that a guy played at a local movie theater before like the trailer started. You can use it as part of a presentation if you're giving a keynote or a webinar. I've been one of the animations we showed on my reel was a guy the CEO used as an employee appreciation event for his company. So there's all sorts of ways you can use it, and there's it's about when we're planning a project, the once you figure out what the problem you're trying to solve is, what the real the solution we're going to be going for, the first step is figuring out, okay, what platforms do we need to have things be working on, and what formats are we going to use, and and so we can plan the content and make sure we have all the assets that can be used and on those different platforms, so that you're meeting your audience where they are. Because if your audience doesn't watch like network TV and you run a huge campaign to show this ad on network TV, no one's going to see it, so it makes no sense. But if you understand your audience is on Instagram, then you're going to make a bunch of Instagram story animations, or on TikTok, you're going to do a bunch of TikTok videos and animated stuff for that. And that way you can connect with them. And then when you get feedback on the first ones you run, then you can use your asset library to make tweaks and changes based on what works and what doesn't, so that you get a whole campaign worth of content, and that's adaptable and agile, and is not, you don't just dump all your like $60 million into a Super Bowl ad that flops and you go, oh well, we're out $60 million and don't really get any good results.
And it makes perfect sense with that because the actors are animated. So it's not like you have to wait on somebody to be free again. Can you come back? Because I'm doing a movie right now. And the last movie I did, I had to go back 5 times when it was supposed to be once, right? But I had to go back 5 times and I had to travel and blah, blah, blah. And then waiting, like now, I'm waiting to go back so they can finish the movie. And it's getting everybody there at once. So definitely I see it. The benefit of having all these things stored inside your content system. You can do whatever you need to do when you need to do it. Because sometimes if you can't do it when you need to, you've missed the boat.
And you can include video in this, where you can do like a day-long shoot where you film a bunch of different little clips that can be used over time. And so yeah, you can combine the animation with video really easily, and you can plan out the production process so you get everything shot and done in like one day, so that again the actors or your staff or your team aren't disrupted a bunch of times, and then you have all this content that everyone was you don't have to worry about someone has a cold, they can't do the voiceover today because they sound all nasally. So you can just get all the content made early on that you can then repurpose and reuse over the course of the campaign.
What about this, Karl? How does it make you feel, and how are you processing the future of your work when it is compared to this trend that is picking up traction by the moment? And I mean, how does animation stand as far as AI generated images and whatnot? Is that a threat to your kind of work, or are they compatible?
So I think AI generation stuff is a tool. It's not, at least I don't see it replacing animators completely ever, because it's run the model right now. If you look at the model for like streaming services, they started off really cheap and accessible, and then they're raising the prices and it's getting less and less affordable. AI is on the same model where right now people think, oh my gosh, it's so much cheaper to use AI to create content, but it's only cheap now because they need to get people using it, and then they're going to start raising the rates again. And it still hasn't shown that you can get the same ROI from AI generated content. Yeah, it might be faster and cheaper to make some content right now, but if it doesn't make you any money because people aren't responding to it, because it's not telling a good story, it's not resonating with human beings, then what's the point? You're not actually saving money. Like, cheapness is not value. There's still, I think the jury's still out on, and it's still too early in the process to know exactly what it's going to be, how it's going to impact things. I think right now there's a lot of hype, and it seems appealing because it's really cheap, but that affordability is going to be changing, and probably it's going to get more expensive. And until it can create the sort of human to human connection that people are craving with the brands and the businesses that they want to work with, that they want to give their money to, I don't see it as that big of an issue beyond just the hype that's going on right now.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's encouraging. We've got a few minutes left, and I wanted to get a couple more, especially this question. What do you see out there? Because you're in the market of animation, so your competitors and this and the other, your colleagues, if you will. What's the status of the diversity piece within animation? I'm not even sure how to frame that question, but I think you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I think more and more it's improving. I know a lot of great animators of all varieties of ethnicities and gender identities and orientations, and it's one of the things that when you're trying to create something that and be creative and innovative, having multiple diverse inputs from people with varying experiences is a good thing. Mm-hmm. If you have a homogenized team, everyone with the same sort of experiences and backgrounds, you're not going to get nearly as good of an output because the ideas generated are coming all from the same sort of source. So I think there's still issues, of course, still ways to go before things are truly equitable. But I think overall there's a lot of people from a variety of backgrounds making awesome content that I've been able to connect with over the years on LinkedIn and collaborate with. And I think it's one of the things I like about it is that because animation takes a lot of time and effort and long hours to work, and you're working really close with people. So don't find too many jerks, because the word gets around and people want to work with them again. So
yeah,
pretty much all the people that I've connected with in the animation world are really great people that are respectful and open to connect with people, because it's the shared experience and creativity just flourishes when you bring in diverse backgrounds and ideas. And it's and the people in that space are really the good ones to know, are always open to trying to learn and grow and improve themselves. And so it's I love that aspect of the community.
Awesome. Nice to know. That's encouraging as well. Boy, so we have learned quite a bit in this short period of time today. And on your screen right now, everyone, are 2 roads to learn more about the world of animation and how it might be just what your business needs for that shot in the arm. So LinkedIn up top and the website below. Positive Impact. You see it there. So get at Karl. And I'm not picking on anybody, but I really know some of you need to check this out. Vicky. Did that come out of my mouth? Yes, it did. So I've even got a few ideas for myself, to be honest with you. At least the conveyor belts are starting to gear up and get moving. So what's the best way for a person to get to that discovery call with you? Is it LinkedIn? Is it your website, or both?
LinkedIn. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'll reply usually no later than next day. And love to have a conversation. Hop on Zoom, chat, and hear your story and see how I can help.
Perfect. Love it. Karl, thank you so much. In all the years I've had this show, I've never had this particular conversation. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Listen, if you want to come back anytime, let me know. Vicky, I have an entire zip file of Karl's work, and I'm going to forward that to you immediately after we wrap this show. So you get ready. And for the rest of you, listen, stay ready. You won't have to get ready. Look ahead. Manifest according to your desires, right? So don't just dismiss this today and think, well, what would I need animation for? You just might be surprised if you really give it a good looking at. So get out of here. Have the best weekend ever. I will meet you, God willing, over on the front porch Monday morning for another opportunity for us to share and pour into each other. As I tell you every day when we leave, I couldn't do this without you, and I wouldn't want to. So God bless you. Have a great week. I love, love, love you, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. So have a great one. Karl, great job. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I appreciate you guys too. See you Monday. Bye-bye.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul.